Hello, my name is Dr. Shomos and today it's actually an update video on my decklist of Purple Kata. I know last week I already uploaded one decklist, but that decklist was actually before I tested out the deck. I just went with theory crafting on that list and I actually didn't play any games on it. Not only that, the reason I didn't play any games was because the sim was somewhat bugged. You couldn't really get into lobbies easily. And so I couldn't really test the deck that I made. Today for you it's Tuesday, for me it's not, for me it's actually Saturday afternoon. You're gonna see a video Monday, which was yesterday, where I did test the other decklist, the other decklist before the sim updated. And I schedule it for Monday. Now, actually, the sim kind of had an emergency update to deal with that bug, and I could actually play more games. And this is the decklist I ended up with. And I can definitely tell you, I'm not gonna lie to you, the deck cannot be meta, simply because it just doesn't have the resources to be a meta deck. Like, what I mean by resources is that these cards have just a cap in their power, you know? Like their power creep cannot reach what is the current meta, and I believe that's why Bandai decided to give this guy a starter deck, because this guy has incredible. I don't think I've ever seen a guy with the most potential right now. After the more testing I did, I never seen a guy with such potential that is just power crept by everybody else. But yeah. So this video will be me explaining, after I played actual games, why am I playing this deck list and not what most people are playing, I believe. And what I mean by this is I'm actually just going to bring the attention now to this pudding right over here. A lot of people still play this pudding at 4. The reason is, on your 3-down turn, you play this pudding and you can just attack with your Katakuri, look into your opponent's top deck, and swing for 6, and then this pudding gives you a Dawn back. Pretty much you don't lose Dawn on your turn. The reason I decided to drop this is I quite no longer need this. Pretty much this would obviously... The biggest advantage I think you get from this right now is because you look into the top deck of your opponent and therefore you know what is going to be in his hand, okay? But other than that, you don't really need to get the Dawn back, you don't need to ramp down. Like the combo of Pudding and the Peril Sparrow, where 3-down turn you play Pudding, and then on a 5-down turn you play Peril Sparrow, swing it Katakuri, leader effect, Pudding activates its effect and gets the... gives you the Dawn back. Then, because you looked into the top deck with your leader ability, you use the Peril Sparrow effect, and that will actually ramp you 1 Dawn. This was... You needed to do this. Like, there was no way around it. You needed to do this because you didn't have this pudding. You only had Katakuri, and so you needed to be at 8 Dawn as fast as possible to actually start playing Katakuri as early as possible. You couldn't actually go second because, again, the curve of these two is going first, and therefore you kind of needed to go first, and you really need to see these 2 pieces so you could actually ramp, and then you could start dropping Katakuri, and then Katakuri will like slowly give you Dawn back, and then you could do your shenanigans. Thanks to this pudding, and I talked about this when this pudding came out in PRB02, you no longer need this combo. You no longer need to ramp up 1 Dawn because you have a 7 Dawn turn play to get into Katakuri. And now you have plus another 7 Dawn play, which is Lingling. So that's why I decided to drop this pudding, and it's no longer here. She's kind of no longer, like, she's, again, and we need to take the power creep of the current sets into consideration. This is just not enough anymore, you know, and so I decided to remove her for more space, and in this case was for more 2Ks and more events, which is working perfect, by the way. We'll get to that. Now, this was the biggest change in my decklist, and that's why I needed to talk to you about it. Let's now look into the actual deck as it is. First and foremost, you have here a core strategy and an alternative strategy. What I mean by this is your core strategy is very simple. You want to search your first 2 turns. Turn 1, you try to search with Pudding or your event. Turn 2, with 3 downs, you try to search again, or worst case scenario, attach 3, swing with leader, don't use leader ability. That is fine as well. If you're going against 6k leaders, you can still do this very well. Like, you can still, first turn, you cannot swing, so you play pudding. Second turn, you can play like a pudding and a event, and still attach 1 Dawn and swing into the 6k leaders. So, swinging onto these leaders is not hard. This is also not hard when you play Perspire on your curve, because you can then swing with 6k with a leader effect, and then get the Dawn back with Perspire. Okay, so far so good. This is the core strategy. Like, you kind of want to search your first 2 turns for use pudding and event. So search your first 2 turns to hopefully reach pudding, Katakuri, and Perspire. This is your strongest combo. If you already have these 3, then you kind of want to reach this Lily. She's only at 2 of. I am thinking about placing her at 3, but I don't know what to remove here. Maybe a 2k, I don't know. I am enjoying a lot of playing like 12 2ks, but I also don't want to. The other card I would kind of decrease would be Sanji Pudding or Lin, but again, I think these ratios are perfect, so for now she's going to stay at 2. But there, you want to use your first 2 turns to reach these 3 cards: Pudding, 7 cost Pudding, 8 cost Katakuri, and Perspire. Hopefully you did mulligan your hand to try and find at least 1 to 2 of these targets. And then once you reach your 7, so you reach your 5 Dawn turn, which is your 3rd turn, you want to play Sparrow again. You swing with your leader and you use Sparrow to cycle out 1 card, which hopefully will reach you the missing pieces, you know? You're always trying to find your missing pieces into the Pudding and Katakuri and Sparrow. First you want to reach Sparrow, so then Sparrow can help you reach these 2. Then on your 7 Dawn turn, we want to play this Pudding. 7 Dawns, you play the Pudding, go -2, your opponent usually has 6 Dawn, you play Katakuri. I know about the Penel situation, don't worry, I'll get there. This is the core strategy. Then, on your next turn, your opponent will already have been on 8 Dawns and you'll be at 7 Dawns again, and then you can start doing more mobile stuff. Like, you can play Katakuri and transform it into an 8 cost Katakuri. Maybe you can play another Lin, maybe you can play another Pudding into another Katakuri. Whatever it is, after that you kind of just react to your opponent's board, react to your opponent's plays, so on and so forth. But usually the core strategy is this: you want to reach your Pudding to drop your Katakuri, or at the very least, drop Perspire. At least Perspire needs to be there on 5 Dawn turn, or else you're gonna be losing a lot. Like, Perspire is one of the most insane cards because he keeps cycling your hand, and that brings you consistency with this deck, which is what you need the most. And that's also why you're playing like 8 searchers. So yeah. Also, Pudding does draw you 2 cards. So back to the core strategy. You play Perspire on your 3rd turn, he cycles, you don't find Katakuri, you reach the 7 Dawn, hopefully you have Pudding, you play Pudding, you draw 2, hopefully that is the last one that you need to see that Katakuri. So the idea here is to, you know, you're cycling, you're searching, you're drawing as much as possible to get this consistency going. So that's why your first 2 turns are without the 3 cost Pudding and are with searching. That is it. Now let's go into the alternate strategy. This strategy usually goes when you don't find your pieces. Or the deck on the other side kind of counters that strategy. Let's start with the most important one, and the one you guys are probably scratching your neck all over for me to talk about, which is the Penel. Purple NL does something with its ability, which is it can only reach 6 Dawn, right? So what he does is he reaches 6 Dawn and then he plays a NL, whatever it is, and then he kind of does his shenanigans and then uses leader ability to ramp back up to 6 and pass turn. Against us, they usually don't do this. I never saw a Penel actually forget this, so you guys need to be careful with this, which is they actually just use like They just use like 1 event to go down 1 Dawn right before they pass a turn, so they stay at 5 Dawn, and that pretty much brings your Pudding into like no effect. Your opponent needs to have 6 Dawn or more, and because Penel does this, you can no longer play Pudding. So the alternate strategy is right here. Lin does not require anything. You kind of just play her, draw 1 card, cycle 1 card, so you're cycling brick, cycling whatever you don't need. and then, you know, you get one done. And that's pretty simple, and she's a 7 cost, 7k power. Once you attack your opponent, if your opponent KOs her, then she gives you 1 life, which is amazing, by the way. I love when this card gets that effect off. Most of the times, again, since we're talking about Penel, what Penel likes to do is to decrease 1k with 1 event or 1 swing with Ohm. And then he usually likes to use Lightning Dragon on Liling. But because they're doing this on Liling, that means they can no longer do this on KATAKURI. And KATAKURI needs more resources. Usually they Divine Departure, remove it with Eltor, or they can also do this with Gamma Knife. Gamma Knife minus 5k, it means he's at 3k, and that means he can in fact use Eltor because he's at 3k to KO it. So yeah. NL has a lot of ways to deal with you, but he does spend a good amount of resources. Like, these are 2 cards in hand, by the way. These are cards that do not cycle out of his hand. While the Lightning Dragon and Keaton or Ohm Swing do kind of recycle, like they replace themselves. So for NL, usually they prioritize Liling being staying frozen than KOing KATAKURI because that's less resources. If they spend those resources on KATAKURI, you're still fine. You are, in fact, still fine. Because you can always just play 8 cost KATAKURI, vanilla way, and hopefully you'll keep your Parasparrow cycling. Remember, 5 down turn, you still love to play your Parasparrow. So you can always cycle the cards that you don't need for this matchup. That is also like greatest value of Parasparrow. So this is the alternate strategy. If you cannot play Pudding, you play the Charlotte Liling. And if you cannot play Parasparrow, you play Pudding. The Sanjian Pudding, sorry. Which, you know, it's the second best option, obviously. Like, you're at 5 dons if you, for some reason, don't see Parasparrow, but you see Sanjian Pudding. You just play it. It stays on the field. It does not draw you if you're playing on the 5 dons. On the 5 don turn. But at least when you play Pudding into KATAKURI, this is actually giving you 1 don back. And then once you pass turn, the KATAKURI gives you another don back. So you stay healthy in dons very well. So yeah. This is the replacement option on the core strategy. If you don't see Parasparrow on your 5 down turn, you play Sanjian Pudding. And if you don't see KATAKURI on your 7 down turn to play it with Pudding, then you play Pudding into Sanjian Pudding, and then you get a draw. So this is a replacement for both Parasparrow and KATAKURI. Short Liling is a replacement for just Pudding, okay? So you have here, this replaces this, and this replaces this. So yeah, those are the 2 cards that I'm using to, so you always have, like, maybe that's my mind now that I play Penel. Penel has a lot of flexibility, and I feel like KATAKURI does not have that flexibility. So these 2 cards actually add a lot of flexibility to our strategy, because we have more options to play around our opponents, and that is very good. Yeah, that's it. This is pretty much, you want to do the same core combo every time. If you don't find these targets, you have these 2 to go around it, or this could be matchup specific. In case of this Liling, is more matchup specific because of Penel, but don't worry. Sometimes I don't see the Pudding, and I still love to play this card. That's why she was at 3 in my last decklist video, but now it's at 4. She's not searchable, and you cannot drop her with Pudding, so you're playing at 4, so you cannot search it, but if you see it instead of Pudding, it's fine, you can drop it. Also, because we're playing 2 Lilings here, sometimes you don't have a 10 don turn to play. You know, you kind of want to play this when you have 10 dons. This card is insane. And, you know, if you're in a good position to drop another big body, playing this Liling is good. It's cycling your deck, your hand a little bit, you know, to find more pieces. This, by the way, this plus Parasparrow, like, I usually just have a really good hand. Now let's get into Liling. This is after you do the whole core combo or side combo. Liling is here at 2 because I believe it's just better for Penel. We have very strong mid game. Like, our mid game is strong because we spam bodies, and all of our bodies are somewhat mid range. Most of our late game bodies are KATAKURI and Liling. But Penel just has insaner mid game. And so Lily is here at 2 to kind of start compensating for that. Having a 12k body to drop is good against Penel. Unfortunately, we need to keep our consistency, and that's why she's at 2. I'm not playing the other Lily, this, because most decks where you can actually use this is yellow, and yellow, if you place this at your opponent's life, then that yellow has a trigger, and that will trigger, and that could be problematic for us. You could also choose not to place one of their bodies into their lives and just get 1 life back, but also this takes away one card from your hand, and I actually don't like that. I feel like Liling, the 10 cost Liling is simpler, and therefore it works better in this current meta. I talked about this in my last decklist video. In this current meta, I think the 10 cost Liling is better. 9 cost Liling was better in other metas, but for now, the 10 cost Liling I think is best. But yeah, that is pretty much it when it comes to the core strategy. Now let's go into our techs. Let's go into our 12k. So Uzohashi and Surusen, pretty straightforward. It's just to help you swing for game, you know, finish game. Surusen lets you rest a 4 cost or less if you get the top card of your opponent's right, which usually is easy because you have Pudding and your leader ability. Uzohashi is simpler and better, which is you can actually rest a 5 cost and you only need to have 8 ton or more, which on late game is super easy for us, obviously. And then our 2k is, the last 2k is Pudding. The reason she's here is you could potentially use her if you don't have, like, let's imagine after you play the Pudding into Katakuri, if you have less ton than your opponent after this combo, because you do go down 2 dons with this, and I usually like to use my Katakuri effect here, so I usually am 1 don down after this whole combo, and sometimes my opponent has some ramp as well, and so I play Pudding, she's a blocker, and ramps you a don. The reason I'm playing her at 4 is more because she's a blocker, rather than the ramp. You usually don't need a ramp anymore. But I'm playing her at 4, except Anana. The reason I'm not playing Anana is because Anana is super simpler. It's super easy to deal with. I talked about this in my last video. She's so simple to deal with. She's super easy. Most of the time, she doesn't really get value in this meta. Again, in this meta, most of the time, she does not get value. Child Pudding, on the other hand, does get more value. For example, again, I'm bringing Penel as an example. She's a 4k power, so he needs to decrease 1 cost to at least KO to at least 1k to KO it with Eltor. But he can always use Mamoragan, but that is fine by me as well, because he's depleting 2 dons instead of 1, which can help us for him to not have that much fuel to combo off. So, you know, I think she's just overall better, because she's a bit harder to deal with. I'm not saying she's hard to deal with, but she's just a bit harder. And that for me is the deal breaker why I don't have Anana, and I'm playing 4 of Pudding. Also, she's a 2k, so if you don't play her as a blocker, she's always a 2k. And this deck, now that you don't have the blue Pudding anymore, oh yeah, she does not appear here. Now that you don't have blue Pudding anymore to kind of reset your entire hand, then you can actually draw a lot more, by the way. And you can keep a lot more of your hand. So the draw 2 from this Pudding, the draw of the Sunshine Pudding if you don't play it with Katakuri, the cycles with Perspera, the cycles with Liling. Every time you draw from life, every time you draw from top deck, you don't really need to worry anymore. And sometimes you have really big hand advantage, which most of it, hopefully, is 2Ks, and that gives you an insane defense. Like, you can block with Katakuri, counter, they swing again, you counter, they swing again, you lead their ability, counter, you know, and that's why I'm loving 12 2Ks. Next, speaking of counter, you have these 2 events here. I'm not gonna read this event. This event is, like, very good. I wouldn't play 3, I see a lot of people play 3, but I actually like the 2-2 ratio here. This is so on late game, your opponent tries to go for game, you have this saves you, like, I don't know how many times this has saved me and helped me go for a game, to be honest. So yeah, I'm playing at 2 because, again, we draw lots, we cycle hand a lot, so finding at least one for that last turn saving is much easier, so I'm only playing 2. Not only that, this is searchable with both of our searchers, so another reason to play at 2. The card that is not searchable is Norodoma Beamsword. This card is still insane, and yeah, I still play at 2. It is harder to have 2 Dawn up, you know, during your opponent's turn than 1. You do have some hard time having 2 Dawn. Not as much anymore, like if you have Sanji and Pudding, that it becomes very easy to have 2 Dawn up. But again, you're not playing for this Sanji and Pudding because this is not that good. This is just a replacement. So, but with Sanji and Pudding, like if you play Sanji and Pudding and you have a Parasparrow later, like these 2, just make sure that you always have Norodoma Beamsword. Norodoma Beamsword is insane against everybody. Everybody, because you're giving yourself 2k power and you're taking away a whole ass swing, and this just like adds a lot of flexibility to the deck. Like many times I use it to rest a blocker, so my opponent next turn does not have a blocker to use, and therefore my swings start being like, my aggression goes through a lot better, and that's great. Or sometimes, you know, because you kind of want to swing with your lower bodies first to see how your opponent reacts. They do that to me. I use Norodoma Beamsword, take away their biggest swing, and that takes away huge aggression from their side. So yeah, this can be used for a more aggressive purpose during your next turn, or a more defensive purpose during your opponent's turn, and it's just insane. And again, we do have a good amount of cycles, so it is fairly easy to find it. It's just not as easy to have to Dawn up to use it. Because sometimes you want to go, I do usually love to swing 7k with this leader, like attach 1 and swing, and that usually is the active Dawn that I would need to have to Dawn up, you know. But that comes with whatever you need, that comes with you as a pilot, and so you need to look out for that. And lastly is Divine Departure. Now, this Divine Departure can help turn every single one of your bricks into even this, but usually you don't use this, but like every single one of your bricks usually can use with this. Sometimes I even use one of these events, like if I'm seeing that I'm not managing to have 2 Dawn up because I need to go more aggressive, I just use this with Divine Departure to defend. And another purpose for Divine Departure is also for NL, Penel, and alright, let me just, not Penel exactly, it helps a lot with Penel, but it helps with every single matchup, which is to deal with bigger bodies. Let me just give you an example, for example. Just give you an example. Mario, like, you give minus 8k, that's a 2k, that's easy to deal with, you know. Boa as well, for example, easy to deal with. Yeah, that's even against... Oh, sorry. The one I felt like you needed the most was against this. Roger and Shanks. Like, the Roger matchup is very hard without Divine Departure, I'm not gonna lie. So that's why since I played against like 3 Rogers, I believe, and all of the matchups, I kind of wish I had this, that's why I added this, and after that I did much better against Roger. I still lost 1 game after I added this, but the other ones I actually won. Other 2. Like, I played 3 before I added Divine Departure, then I played plus another 3 with Divine Departure, and yeah, much better, much better. But obviously, I wasn't looking for Roger most of the time. I was looking for Nami's, Boas, Penel's, Ace. Ace also, you can use it for this, you know, and this. It helps you a lot with both as well. So yeah, I'm playing 2. I do use it more aggressively than defensively. But yeah, obviously these 2 events add also a lot of flexibility on your plays, whether you want to set up more aggression or you want to set up more defense. So yeah, this was the video. This is why I'm playing the deck that I'm playing. Hopefully you guys understood why, and hopefully you give this deck a chance. So I decided to give you like this updated video. I think it's best. But yeah, on the video yesterday, that you guys are gonna see, that you guys saw yesterday, hopefully, or the video that's coming out Monday, I'm still gonna pin a comment with this deck list and tell that it's the most updated deck list. But yeah, this is actually doing fairly well. I'm still gonna be honest with you guys, I don't think this is meta, but hopefully, like, this is on the verge of being, like, really good, you know, and that does give me hope that on the starter deck we do get, like, really good buffs that just help pushing this to the meta, you know, just a little bit. I don't need this to be the strongest deck in the meta. I just want it to be, like, a deck that people are afraid of, because most of the times when I go to locals with this, or play on the sim with this, people just don't know what this deck does. Like, people just forget about this deck. Which, by the way, is 80% of your wins will be because they don't know what you're trying to do. And you know what they're trying to do, so you adapt better to them than they adapt to you. So yeah. But yeah, I kind of hope this wouldn't be the case. Like, I could just be a strong deck where people need to be careful, but we always have, like, an edge sometimes. You know, like, we actually have a threat to the meta, you know? But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, like and subscribe. Comment what you think of this deck list. Comment what you think should be the buffs that we get to this category on the starter deck. Video already on the channel about that. Everything will be linked in the description. The older deck list, the gameplay video of yesterday, of Monday, and the video where I try to predict what will be the buffs. Everything will be in the description, so you can always check it out. Also, this deck list, in case you want to copy paste to the sim, also in the description. So yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.